Okay, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahasham, HaMashiach Yahushai, Kwam Yasha'Allah, hallelujah, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. This is Elder Barak from the Masharah Yasharahla, and I just want to say that we just want to put out the official date of the Passover, okay, and go over a few points concerning the official date and the date that the Masharah Yasharahla has. As you know, there's been a lot of controversy concerning what date the Passover is. Okay, when does a new moon fall? When does a bib? When does a bib fall? When does spring issue in and come in? So we want to put out an official date. It's been the position of the Masharah Yasharahla. As you know, we've had the Masharah Yasharahla summits and unity camps going on now for over about 7 years, 8 years. And it's always been the position that we not inhibit Israelite schools or camps that are part of the Masharah Yasharahla to be able to celebrate the high holy days on the dates that they come up with, as you know, as they see fit for their independent, their individual school, in the Israelite school or camp. So we never inhibited brothers from celebrating the Passover on different dates or high holy days on different dates, or new moons on different dates, and so forth. So just like we have the issue of the Sabbath. Some brothers celebrate the Sabbath according to the lunar moon. And of course, you got other Israelite schools of camp celebrate the Sabbath, the 7-day Sabbath. Okay, but we never said that if you are, let's say, celebrating the lunar moon Sabbath, that you can't be a part of the Masharah Yasharahla. We never said that if you celebrate the Passover on a date that the Masharah Yasharahla different from the Masharah Yasharahla's official date, that you can't be a part of the Masharah Yasharahla. We never said that, because there's one thing that we said in the beginning, and we understood that we always are going to have, especially when we are trying to bring Israel together in unity to the best of our ability, and with unifying camps and summits, so that we could network and communicate with different Israelite schools and camps, so that we can be more of a cohesive nation, and think thereupon about nationalism, think nationalistically. And so that's what the Masharah Yasharahla was basically set out to do. And, we're still in the process of doing that. So it's a work in progress. But we never inhibited different Israelite schools of, the particular dates that they come up with for their high holy days. So we never said, no, you can't do it. So, but the Masharah Yasharahla has to have an official date for the high holy days. It has to be that way. And we can only have one date. Okay, so there's controversy. There's opposing points of view concerning the date for the Passover. What day does it fall on? So, of course, the Masharah Yasharahla got together with the council of the Masharah Yasharahla. And of course, there was some opposing points of view concerning the new moon, concerning a bib, and concerning the Passover date. So, like the Spirit shows us when you read the scriptures, sometimes you got to cast a vote, sometimes you got to cast lots, okay, so that Yahweh Shai will be in whatever we do. Okay, just like the disciples cast lots on who was the next disciple, or who the next apostle is. Sometimes you have to do that. So Yahweh Shai will be in the vote, or in the casting of the lots, so that it'll be spiritual. And so that's what we did. And not everybody's going to like the decision, and we understand that. Not everybody likes the decision, but you got to move forward. And so this is what the Masharah Yasharahla is doing, moving forward and continuing on in the spirit of Mashiach Yahushai, Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. So the official date, so that everybody can understand the official date for the Masharah Yasharahla is for Passover is April 27th. Of course, the official date for the new moon just before the Passover, of course, you count the 14 days from the new moon, would be April 13th. Okay, that new moon is April 13th. So you count the 14 days at sundown, be April 27th at sundown. So this is what the Most High showed us to do. And of course, we're also recognizing the leap year. Okay, there is a leap year also involved. So the Most High showed us to recognize that, understand that. But I want the brothers and sisters in the Israelite camps and schools to understand that we have to come more on one accord with this, because we are a nation in exile. Okay, yeah, everybody got their different dates and so forth with high holy days and so forth and what they think it is, but we got to come more on one accord. And this is what the Most High is showing us. Okay, all this division we have and all this separation and one camp thinking that they are better than the next camp, all this madness going on. So the Most High is showing us we got to come more together with the understanding. And if we come more together, and that's what the Masharah Yasharahla was all about, coming together so we can bring the different spiritual, talented Israelite schools and camps and brothers together so that we can get everything correct and get everything right, because no one brother has it all. No one camp has it all, and no one school, Israelite school, has it all. Okay, so we have to understand that. So, but the position of the Masharah Yasharahla, we have to come up with one date. We cannot, Mosai is not the author of confusion. So we have to come up with one. Now, I know, brothers might not like the date and so forth. Israelite schools may not like the date, but we have to come up with one. And but if your date, so we have brothers that are Israelite schools that are in the Masharah Yasharahla, but their Passover is March 27th. You got other brothers Passover who's they're in the Masharah Yasharahla, but their Passover is March 25th. And then you got some who's March 26th. Okay, and then of course you got the ones who are celebrating it April 27th. So yeah, that sounds like a lot of confusion, So, and it is, but we gotta still stay pressed, in the faith and the spirit of a Mashiach Yahushai to bring it about. Okay, to bring about the truth of what it is. And so, if it has to be this way for now until Yahushai give us what it exactly is, the correctness of the high holy days, then we just have to deal with this for now. But nevertheless, the Masharah Yasharahla has to have one date. So now, as the scripture teaches us in Numbers 9, 1 and 2, it says this. I just want to read this. It says Numbers 9, 9th chapter, and the first verse, and the second verse says, "And Yahweh spake unto Moses," okay, "spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the first month of the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Let the children of Israel also keep the Passover at his appointed season." Okay, so there is an appointed season for the Passover. And as we know, like the scriptures teach us, understand? Like the scriptures teach us in Exodus, okay, Exodus 12 and 12 and 2, it says this: "This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you." And what is that month called? Exodus 13 and 4. "This day came ye out in the month Abib." So as we know, Abib means spring forth or ear of corn. And so it has been the controversy that some Israelite camps and schools and brothers think that the new moon before Abib, and Abib would be, of course, come in along with the term East, or use the vernal equinox. The vernal equinox means when night and day are equal, okay? because that's the transition from winter into spring. Okay, in that transition from winter to spring, that gives us from the Most High, gives us a sign on the earth that spring is coming in. So Abib means spring forth, an ear of corn, because we know that when that season comes in, spring season, ultimately the ear of corn would begin to bud, and then the Hebrews, our people, can now bring in the sheaves to the Most High, okay, the ear of corn, as a blessing, okay, to the Most High, that we would bring in the sheaves. So we have to understand that the new moon before the vernal equinox, before Abib, that new moon represents the winter time still. We're still in the winter time because the transition didn't happen yet. The transition from winter to spring didn't come in yet. And for the most part, the vernal equinox comes in around March 20, 21st. Okay, so, but now, when this happens, we must recognize, and our forefathers did recognize it, that there is what Esau calls a leap year. And that leap year means that that new moon just before the vernal equinox, okay, and that new moon is still the winter time. So you have to go with the new moon after the vernal equinox. So that next new moon after the vernal equinox would more than likely be in April. So this is the controversy what we're dealing with. Is Passover, do you start your account for the Passover at the new moon in March, which is before the vernal equinox, or the new moon after the vernal equinox, which would be in April? And this is the controversy. But remember, the scriptures say it must be in its season, okay? And we know that Passover has to be in the springtime, okay? And this is the controversy what we have. Now, we do have a brother that gives you some understanding on the leap year, okay? Masharah Yasharahla, okay? This brother did a video. It's on YouTube. It's called Leap Year 358 Explained. And the 358, okay, concerning the leap year and how our people and how the Hebrews, our people, got the understanding how to insert the leap year in every 3, 5, or 8 years. Insert the leap year in because to make that adjustment so that the high holy days stay in sync. Otherwise, they would be thrown off and out of balance. Everything would be thrown off. So if you have your Passover and it starts your new moon count from the winter new moon, okay, just before the vernal equinox, but it's still winter time, then your other high holy days would be thrown off. And this is the problem that we have. And sure enough, your next Passover, the next year, it would end up in the winter time because it's thrown off. So the brother had to go into the book of Enoch, okay, and as we know, the book of Enoch, and because the book of Enoch gives you the understanding of the 358. And we have some brothers that say, well, the book of Enoch is not the Torah, so you can't go into it. But with the Masharah Yasharahla, the Most High showed us that there are certain books that give us points of reference of history and understanding, coupled with the Bible, of course, okay, coupled with the Bible. And let's get something straight. The Masharah Yasharahla is for the Torah, for the Old Testament, for the New Testament, for the Gospel, for the book of Revelation, for the Josephus. We're for the whole body of Hamashiach Yahushai, because the body of Hamashiach Yahushai is the Bible, the whole Bible. Okay, not just the Gospels, it's the whole Bible. This is the body of Hamashiach Yahushai. This is why he said on the Passover, okay, we remember Yahushai in the Passover, because why? He is the Passover. He is the Lamb. And that's why he told his disciples, take, eat this bread, because it is my body. And take, eat, and drink, this wine, because it is my blood. So this is the blood of Hamashiach Yahushua, the whole Bible. So the Masharah Yasharahla is for the Torah, the Old Testament, New Testament, Gospels, Revelation, the Apocrypha, the whole body of Hamashiach Yahushua. So I say that to say that you have books in the Bible that are mentioned as points of reference for history, for understanding, because the Most High mentions it in the Bible. Okay, for example, let's say the book of Jasher. Okay, reference in Joshua, right? In Joshua, the 10th chapter and the 13th verse. And I just want to read it so you can understand. The 10th chapter and the 13th verse, so brothers can understand. It says, and the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon the enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? See, so why does the Most High reference the book of Jasher? Okay. Why does the Most High reference the book of Jasher in the Bible? Should we not read the book of Jasher? The Most High reference it. And of course, when you read the book of Jasher, there's a lot of history there. Okay, that brings us back to our customs and our culture and the understanding of the scriptures and help us understand the history of our people, right? For example, the book of Jubilees in Leviticus 25, and you can start from the 8th verse, right? It says, and thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 Sabbaths. And the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. Thou shalt cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. So the Most High references Jubilee, the law, the ceremonial law of Jubilee, okay, in the scriptures. So what? We shall not read the book of Jubilees? Okay, and you can read that whole chapter, Leviticus 25, about the ceremonial law, the Jubilee. So, yeah, it's referenced in the Bible. So we shall not read it. So I don't understand why brothers are saying you can't read the book of Enoch. Okay, brothers are saying that. Let me get one more in Jude. You know, the book of Jude 14, it referenced the book of Enoch. It says, Enoch, also the 7th from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, Yahushua cometh with 10,000 of his saints. So the Most High referenced the book of Enoch also. Shall we not read the book of Enoch? Okay, so the brother, Karadaz Allah, explains the leap year, and of course, he goes into scriptures, and he goes into the book of Enoch. And really, he only goes into like one page of the book of Enoch, actually, just to give you the understanding of the 358 and why we have to we have the leap year, and we have to make that adjustment in the leap year, because all our high holy days will be thrown off. You have to make that adjustment. If you don't, you'll be thrown off. But so you can understand, brothers use other books for points of reference, right? We use Babylon the Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor, don't we? Yes, we do. And you brothers know it. We use The Unknown Catacomb by Antonio Fugua. We use that. Okay, we use The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. We use that. Okay, we use Ronald Sanders' Lost Tribes of the Promise. And brothers got that book for historical reference and points of view, so we can get a better understanding of what happened to us as a people, our culture, our customs. Also, what about, of course, as you know, the Josephus? Okay, and what about the Antiquity of the Jews? Well, we shouldn't read that. Here, we're Hebrews, we're the real Hebrews, but we're not going to read the Antiquity of the Jews because it's in another book. Brothers are out of their mind when they say that, okay? They're out of their minds, okay? You got other books too. What about The Hebrew Heritage of Black Africa by Stephen Jacobs? Showing you that a lot of our people, of course, as we know now, millions of our people are still in Africa. Millions of our people are still in Africa. So how about that? Okay. So what are we to say? Not read that book? Okay. And you know, Babylon and Timbuktu showed us that we fled out of Israel in 70 AD into the interiors of Africa, running from the Romans. What, we shouldn't read that? Okay. Nature Knows No Color Line. What about that book? Sex and Race by J.A. Rogers. Showing you how we were in Europe and how we ruled Europe. And our people were scattered throughout all of Europe. And for over 1,000 years. Okay? In Britain, in Ireland, in Germany. Okay? In Rome, in Greece. Okay, we were in all those areas, all throughout Europe. J.A. Rogers brings that out. So we shouldn't read that book. Okay, you got Clarence Larkin, who wrote the book, he called it the Book of Daniel and Book of Revelation. He's the one that brought out some of the understanding, or most of the understanding, concerning the 70 weeks that you read about in Daniel, the 9th chapter. He brought that out. So we shouldn't read these books now. Okay, so brothers should stop saying that. So this gives us some understanding. And I just want to read something here, right? And it says there's a book, okay, that a brother brought out. It's called Manners of the Ancient Israelites. Okay, that's another book, okay, for points of reference. And then also you have a congregation called the Congregation of Yahweh. But they're bringing out about the vernal equinox. They're bringing out about Passover in the month of Abib. And here's what they say. First, I'm going to bring out this about from the Congregation of Yahweh. They say this. Many assemblies take the crescent closest to the spring equinox. When they say crescent, they mean the new moon. Also, they visually look for the crescent. So I know some brothers, it's been a controversy that brothers and other Israelite schools and camps go with the full dark moon. But we're going to show you that the Most High showed us that we are a visual people. Most High gave it to us he gave us the new moon and the moon for what? Ordinances for the feast. So we visualize the new moon. So that's why that small little crescent came in. Okay, but before I go there, let me read this so the brothers understand. Ecclesiasticus 43 and 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and the sign of the world. What sign? The sign of our feast days. Okay, the sign of the feast days for Israel. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. So that shows us that the moon, the Most High gave us the moon so we can observe it, so we can determine our feast days. All right, so here's what this article says by the Congregation of Yahweh. It says this. Many assemblies take the crescent closest to the spring equinox, even if that crescent happens to fall before the equinox, and call that Abib. Now listen what they say. Their high holy days are 1 month too early. Because if you take the new moon closest to Abib, which in this case, this season, it would be the new moon of March 12th, I believe. March 12th, I believe. Okay, the new moon of March 12th. Let's make sure what that is. It is, March 14th, the new moon of March 14th. Okay, if you take that new moon, all right, closest to Abib, and Abib comes in at around March 21st, but you're still in the wintertime. Okay, so this is what they're saying. Thus, their holy days are 1 month too early. The correct method is to take the first crescent, meaning the new moon, on or after the spring equinox. After the spring equinox. Okay, what is the spring equinox? March 20 or 21st. Okay, so you take the new moon after that and call that day a Bib. Okay, Kun, this is what they're saying. Here are some of the reasons why it is correct to use the first crescent on or after the spring equinox. It is not consistent to have a Bib in the spring. Okay, here's what they're saying. It's not consistent to have a Bib in the spring some years and in the winter other years. The festivals, meaning the feasts, are to occur in their seasons, not out of them. And then they give you the scriptures, Deuteronomy 16:6, Numbers 9:2, Exodus 13:10, Deuteronomy 16:1, Exodus 23:15. All make it clear that the moon must be of the green ears, not before them, because the green ears have to begin to develop so that we could have the wave sheaves of the green ears to bring it to the temple to offer it to the Most High. There has to be enough. If you can't start bringing those sheaves in the wintertime, okay, it has to be in a season. Okay, Kun? And then it says, not before them. There had to be enough barley developed for the wave sheaf. So we're talking about the barley green ears of corn, okay, for the wave sheaf. And you read that in Leviticus 23:11, right? If a Bib can fall before the spring equinox, then Passover will always be in the spring, okay? But trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles will fall mostly in the summer, which throws it all off. So if you're going to start your account before the equinox from the new March new moon, then your tabernacles, your trumpets, atonement, and tabernacle will be all thrown off. If a Bib can fall 13 days before the equinox, then the 7th month will be 21 or 22 days before the fall equinox. See, it's thrown off. And this is what they're saying. Okay? It said farmers and shepherds 2,000 and 3,000 years ago didn't know ahead of time if the equinox would be March 20, 21st, or 19. They didn't have almanacs. Okay, almanac. Okay, so a lot of brothers use the almanac, but that's Esau's way of calculating the new moons and high holy. That's Esau's way. So if a new moon came 13, 14, or 15 days before the vernal equinox, they would know if it was nearer or ahead of time. The requirement of ripe barley for wave sheaf limits the period from the beginning of too early in June. Okay, it limits the period from the beginning of April to early June. All right, so that's when the requirement for the ripe barley, when they would pretty much come in around the time early April and early June. Barley begins to ripen in Palestine with the beginning of April. Hence, we see that the first new moon, which began the first month and the Hebrew year, could only take place in the last days of March, the earliest, and the sacrifice of the wave sheaf in the first half of April. Okay, Yahushua last Passover was observed in a year when the new moon, before the equinox now, was closer than the one after, and yet the Messiah used the one after. So there was a new moon, okay, close to the last Passover that Yahushua had. There was a new moon close to the vernal equinox, but Yahushua didn't use that new moon. He used the one after, okay? So Wednesday, Passover of 31 CE was on April 25th. 14 days earlier makes April 11th pretty much the new moon. That was the new moon, which is 21 days after March 21st, showing that the nearer crescent, the new moon crescent before the equinox was not used. Okay, so we got to understand this is what the Most High is showing us, giving us these points of reference of history so that we can have a better understanding of when the new moon, the leap year, so-called leap year, and of course now the high holy day, the Passover, comes in. And this is another one called the Manners of the Ancient Israelites. You can look it up, Manners of the Ancient Israelites. So I will read it. It says, I only observed that they took a very particular care that the first month of their sacred year, that is, of where the feasts were regulated and did never expire before the equinox. And without this precaution, they would have solemnized the same feast twice in the same solar year, so that the equinox was a fixed point which the Jews made use of to regulate their years. See, so we regulated the so-called vernal equinox, meaning Abib. It was regulated, meaning we didn't do anything more extra away from Abib or away from the so-called vernal equinox. That was the point of reference, that transition from winter into spring, and then we knew that it was springtime, and then we counted our days from that new moon after the vernal equinox, and then we got the Passover. Okay, let us now see what means the Jews regulate their year so exactly that its first month always came in the spring. There were no two reasons that engaged them to be extremely exact in this matter. The one of which is the law obliged them to offer up to the Most High a sheaf offering of ripe barley, and the other was the Passover was offered with an infinite number of lambs, which it would have been impossible to have had in the winter. Okay, and it was necessary that this first month in which the feast of Passover was celebrated should not be entirely passed before the vernal equinox, okay? And that it should always fall in the same season year by year. This is what the Most High is showing us. It has already been said that the Jews regulated their months by phases of the moon and not by any astronomical calculation. No astronomical calculation. So we didn't calculate nothing. We didn't have calendars, 50-year, 100-year calendars. We, as the Hebrews, we didn't do that. We observed the new moon coming in. We observed that crescent, that small little sliver of light coming in. Month by month by month, year by year by year. That's how we did it. So brothers say, won't you have a 30-year calendar? No, we didn't do that. We didn't need that. That's Esau's thing. Okay? The Most High gave the Levitical priesthood the ordinances of the new moons, high holy days, and the law, statute, commandments. The Most High gave the Levitical priesthood the ordinances of the ceremonial laws. And we observed it month by month and week by week, month by month. Not 30-year calendars. We didn't do that. So there was no astronomical calculation. And brothers say, well, you got to calculate it. You got to calculate this. You got to calculate. No, we didn't use almanacs. Okay? There were no calculations. We observed it. This is what the Most High is showing us. And when their 12th month was ended, and they found that their spring was not yet come. So when the 12th month ends this year, okay, and spring is not yet come, because we know there's a Purim, the month Adar, right? There's a Purim February 25th to February 26th. That's the first Purim. But wait a minute, there's a second Purim, March 27th, March 28th. Why? Because our forefathers compensated. When the leap year came in, they added another month. They added a 13th month. That means you would have two Purims. That's what we did. Read the history. We did this. Why? To make the adjustment. So that the high holy days that are coming later on that year would fall in line, would be correct in their seasons. That's why you make the adjustment. You have to do that. Okay? So then it says, and when their 12th month was ended, and they found that their spring was not yet come, okay? Just like you're going to have the March new moon, March 14th, and spring is still not come, right? The next new moon was not made to belong to the first month, but to a 13th month, which they inserted and therefore called the intercalary month. Intercalary means you insert another month, because why? It's a so-called, what Esau calls a leap year, because because of the vernal equinox, the first month didn't come in yet because the vernal equinox didn't come in yet, and so you got to extend it and put in another month, let's say, and make it 13 months for that particular year. Okay, and that's what they call, what Esau calls the leap year. And then everything, when you do that, and you have your two Purims, and you have the leap year, and like the brother explains in the leap year, in the video, leap year 358 explained, and then you read in the book of Enoch, it explains it. And then all your high holidays are lined up correctly again. And this is what the Most High wants us to do. So we got to search this out. Okay? They call it intercalary month, and this they did so exactly. They did so exactly that the full of the moon of the month of Bib never came before the equinox. It never came before the equinox. Because why? They said the Hebrews, we did it so exactly. We did it according to the standard what the Most High gave us. And we never failed that. But the problem is now we're in our captivities, and the Most High said that we were going to lose it. He said that we were going to lose it and forget it. That's why you go to the book of Jubilees, okay, and you go to page 56 and 57, it tells you we were going to forget the understanding of the high holy days and new moons. Because of why? Of our disobedience and our sin against the Most High. So it says, and command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning. 364 days will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts, for everything will fall out in them according to their testimony. And they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances. See? And all the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of years, and will forget the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to do all the order of the years. Okay? So this is why we have all this controversy, because the Most High took it from us. In our captivities, he took it from us.